rated T to M. Hey, want to hear a PC Game Pass ad? I'll take your silence as a yes. Want new games on day one like Call of Duty Black Ops 6 or Stalker 2? I thought so. How about unlocking all the League of Legends champions when you link your Riot Games account? All for one low monthly price? Well, guess what? We got you. Learn more at xbox.com/PC Game Pass or click the banner. Stalker 2 available November 20th, 2024. Game catalog varies by region and over time. And that's the end of the script.
The holiday season officially starts when you get that first card in the mail. Shutterfly makes it easy to add more meaning to the everyday with hundreds of holiday card designs that can be personalized in seconds with your favorite photos from this year. Select your greeting, customize the color, and even add little extras like personalized foil to make a holiday card that really shines. Enjoy 40% off with code SMILE40 at Shutterfly.com and send something meaningful this year. See site for more details.
The Tudors Dynasty Podcast.
The Romanov dynasty reigned over Russia for more than 3 centuries, leaving a lasting mark on its history. Among its most renowned figures were Ivan IV, famously known as Ivan the Terrible, Peter I, celebrated as Peter the Great, Catherine II, hailed as Catherine the Great, and Nicholas II, the last Tsar of Imperial Russia. Nicholas, the eldest son and heir of Alexander III of Russia and Maria of Denmark, was groomed for leadership from a young age. He received a military education and excelled in athletics, relishing his role as a Russian officer. However, many questioned his suitability to rule. Known for his timidity, Nicholas struggled with public engagements, often falling ill during formal occasions, and finding it difficult to connect with his subjects. Despite these challenges, he was deeply devoted to his close inner circle. In 1894, Nicholas married Alexandra, granddaughter of Queen Victoria and Prince Albert. The couple first met when Alexandra was just 12, and their love story blossomed into a lifelong bond marked by unwavering devotion. Together they had 5 children, beginning with their eldest daughter, Grand Duchess Olga, born on the 15th of November, 1895, and named after Nicholas's youngest sister. Grand Duchess Tatiana followed on the 10th of June, 1897. Then Grand Duchess Maria in June of 1899. And Grand Duchess Anastasia in June 1901. The 4 sisters formed a close-knit group, but each possessed a distinct personality, creating a dynamic family full of love and individuality. Olga, the eldest of the Romanov sisters, was often described as serious and plain in her early years, perhaps even a bit dull for someone so young. However, by the time she turned 16, she had blossomed into a bright and cheerful young woman with a passion for poetry and music. Her younger sister, Tatiana, was her polar opposite, outgoing, composed, and a natural leader. Renowned for her beauty, Tatiana became one of the most sought-after brides in the royal marriage market. Maria was known for her warm and inviting nature. Those fortunate enough to meet her often remarked on her striking blue eyes. She was trusting and generous, though her docile temperament sometimes made her the target of her sister's playful pranks. Anastasia, the youngest of the 4, thrived in her role as the baby of the family. She craved attention and had a knack for entertaining, ensuring she was always at the center of attention. The sisters grew up in a loving and close-knit household. Their education included lessons in French, Russian, and English, and Alexandra instilled the habit of sharing clothes to foster humility and camaraderie. Nicholas and Alexandra adored their daughters and showered them with unconditional love. Yet their idyllic family life was overshadowed by one glaring absence: a male heir to the Russian throne. Desperate to provide Nicholas with the male heir, Alexandra turned to mystics and spiritual advisors for guidance. Her obsession with having a son became so intense that she experienced a phantom pregnancy in 1903. However, the couple's long-awaited dream finally came true in 1904 with the birth of their son, Alexei. Their joy was short-lived as it became evident that Alexei suffered from hemophilia, a genetic disorder that prevents blood from clotting properly. Even minor injuries pose a significant risk as his blood would not clot naturally. Although the science behind it was not understood at the time, Alexei had inherited the condition from his mother. Alexandra, in turn, had unknowingly inherited the gene from her grandmother, Queen Victoria, and grandfather, Prince Albert. Hemophilia is a genetic mutation passed through the maternal line and manifests primarily in male offspring, making Alexei's condition a devastating yet inevitable consequence of his lineage. Alexandra is often blamed as a key figure in the downfall of the Romanov dynasty, with many overlooking the systematic weakness of the Russian Empire that also contributed to its collapse. Her marriage to Nicholas was controversial from the start. Alexander III opposed the union, and Alexandra's reserved nature and perceived coldness alienated both the court and the public. Compounding matters, she struggled with the Russian court's official language, French, and spoke only basic Russian, further isolating her and her new role as empress. In 1908, Alexandra's desperation to protect her son Alexei led to a fateful encounter with a figure now infamous even beyond history, Grigory Rasputin. Rasputin entered the Romanov circle after Alexei suffered a life-threatening fall, and his bleeding refused to stop. When Rasputin seemingly miraculously helped Alexei recover, Alexandra became convinced he was her son's savior. From that moment, Rasputin became a central figure in the imperial household, shielded by Alexandra's unwavering belief in his divine power. To others, however, Rasputin was a charlatan. Born a peasant, he had no formal religious authority, but styled himself as a stare, or self-proclaimed holy man. Before gaining influence at the palace, Rasputin lived as a wanderer, visiting places like Mount Athos in Greece and Jerusalem, while surviving on peasant donations. His reputation was questionable. He was married, but notorious for his indiscretions. Despite his humble beginnings, Rasputin's presence at court fueled controversy and mistrust, contributing to the growing instability of the Romanov reign. Rasputin claimed he could foresee the future and heal the sick, but his behavior was anything but saintly. He indulged in scandalous acts, sleeping with any woman who would agree, justifying it as God's work, and consuming staggering amounts of alcohol. His crude behavior and controversial actions earned him widespread disdain. Despite being aware of Rasputin's sordid reputation, Nicholas and Alexandra dismissed the allegations as slander. Nicholas even banished him from Russia at one point, but Alexandra, deeply devoted to Rasputin, had him brought back within months. Her faith in him was so unshakable that when Nicholas assumed personal command of Russian forces during World War I, Alexandra appointed Rasputin as her trusted advisor, further deepening his influence at court. Rasputin's presence provoked outrage, and numerous attempts were made on his life, with only one succeeding in 1916. In a dramatic series of events, he was invited to dinner by Prince Felix, where he was fed poison, only for it to have no effect. Desperate, Prince Felix then shot him, bringing Rasputin's turbulent and controversial life to an end. After Alexei's birth, his sisters' lives shifted as they became his devoted caretakers, ensuring his fragile health was always protected. Their dedication was unwavering, and this dynamic cast a shadow over the girls, keeping their lives largely out of the public eye. The Romanov family valued privacy, rarely allowing the outside world a glimpse into their daily lives. However, after the grand celebration of the Romanov tercentenary in 1913, the family began appearing more frequently at public events. Olga and Tatiana quickly became the talk of the royal marriage market. Rumors swirled about potential suitors for Olga, including Karl of Romania, Boris of Bulgaria, and Alexander of Serbia. Even Queen Victoria tried to arrange a match between Olga and her cousin, the future Edward VIII of England. Although Olga expressed interest in marriage, the outbreak of World War I abruptly halted these prospects. During the war, Olga and Tatiana stepped into new roles as Red Cross nurses, working tirelessly in a military hospital organized by their mother, Alexandra. Their dedication to aiding the wounded was deeply admired, while Maria and Anastasia often visited the hospital to lift the spirits of injured soldiers. The bond between the Romanov sisters was unmistakable. They were not just siblings, but a tightly knit support system for one another. In February 1917, mass protests erupted in what is now St. Petersburg, driven by widespread food shortages, military failures, and poor living conditions. The unrest quickly escalated as peasants, workers, and even soldiers joined the demonstrations, culminating in a revolt against the monarchy. Just weeks later, Nicholas II abdicated the throne, ending over 300 years of Romanov rule. In his place, the Russian provisional government was established, but it struggled to maintain order amidst the growing turmoil. The Romanov family was placed under house arrest by the Bolsheviks and initially relocated to a royal residence just outside St. Petersburg. While under guard, they lived in relative comfort, still enjoying some of the privileges they had as an imperial family. However, in August 1917, they were moved to Tobolsk, Siberia, to distance them from the political unrest in the capital. Although treated with some respect, restrictions on their movements and communications began to tighten as they were placed under closer surveillance. In October 1917, the Bolsheviks staged a coup against the provisional government in what became known as the October Revolution. They stormed the Winter Palace and arrested key government members, solidifying their control. The Romanov family was subsequently moved to Ekaterinburg, where their treatment grew significantly harsher. Confined to a single house, they were forbidden from leaving or communicating with the outside world. Their physical and mental health began to decline under the oppressive conditions. In preparation for an uncertain future, Alexandra instructed her daughters to sew jewels and diamonds into their corsets, a desperate attempt to preserve their wealth. This small act would later become a grim detail in the family's tragic end. On the night of the 16th of July, 1918, the Romanov family met their tragic end. Acting under direct orders from Lenin, Bolshevik guards woke the family and informed them they were to be relocated. Told to leave their belongings behind, they were led to the basement of the house under the pretense of waiting for a carriage. Once gathered in the confined space, Nicholas, Alexandra, their children, Olga, Tatiana, Maria, Anastasia, and Alexei, were executed by firing squad. Alongside them were some of their loyal attendants. Their doctor, a cook, a lady-in-waiting, and a footman were also killed. Years later, members of the firing squad revealed a haunting detail. The diamonds and jewels sewn into the girls' corsets acted as a kind of bulletproof barrier, deflecting some shots. Tragically, this only prolonged their suffering, as the attackers resorted to bayonets and additional gunfire to complete their grim task. The Romanovs' bodies were taken to a nearby forest and hastily buried, leaving behind a legacy shrouded in tragedy and marking the end of Imperial Russia. A rumor spread in the years following the Romanovs' execution that one of the girls had survived and was living in secret until it was safe to reveal her identity. The most famous and persistent of these pretenders was Anna Anderson. She spent many years in Germany before moving to the United States, claiming to be Grand Duchess Anastasia. However, her story was riddled with inconsistencies, and she could never provide concrete evidence to support her claim. In 1970, DNA tests revealed that Anderson was actually a Polish factory worker who had been institutionalized. Despite this, rumors of Anastasia's survival did not end. In the 1970s, another woman, Nina Ivanova, emerged asserting that she too was Anastasia. According to her, she had survived the execution, been knocked unconscious, and later escaped. But like Anderson, she offered no proof and eventually faded from public view. Over the years, other women also came forward, claiming to be the missing Grand Duchess. The mystery deepened when a grave containing 5 bodies, which closely matched the Romanovs' descriptions, was discovered. This fueled speculation that Anastasia might have been among them, as the body of Alexei was still missing. It wasn't until 2007 that a grave with 2 additional bodies was found. DNA testing confirmed the remains belonged to Anastasia and Alexei, putting the long-standing rumors to rest once and for all. As we reflect on the tragic story of the Romanov family, from their rise to power to their untimely and brutal end, we are reminded of the profound impact their lives had on history. The mystery surrounding Anastasia's survival captivated the world for decades, symbolizing the hope and heartbreak that can linger even in the darkest times. But in the end, it was the discovery of the remains that brought closure to a tale that seemed to defy both reason and time. The Romanovs' story is not just one of royalty and tragedy, but of a family that, despite their wealth and power, were ultimately subject to the same fate as so many others caught in the turbulence of history. Their legacy continues to be felt today, from the ongoing fascination with their lives and deaths to the lessons we can learn about the fragility of even the most enduring dynasties. Until next time, remember that history is always unfolding, and there is always more to uncover about the past that shapes our present. And that concludes another episode of the Tudors Dynasty podcast. Thank you so much for listening. If you love the show and would like to show your support, consider becoming a patron over on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Tudors Dynasty. Over there, you'll get commercial-free episodes, early access, and some patron-exclusive content as well. If you would prefer to show your support in another way, head on over to my website, tutorsdynasty.com, and click on the shop to see some of the new merchandise that I have available. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.
The Tudors Dynasty Podcast.